brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement Studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking host, the good old boys. And now it's sippin' time.
Yes, it's sippin' time again. Hello and welcome to this episode of Sips, Suds, and Smokes, where everything good in life is worth discussing. As always, we are the best thing on at 2 a.m. We are a 1-hour show that fully endeavors to be reasonably entertaining.
And we hope to move to 1 a.m.
Oh, that'll never happen.
That'll help us a lot.
Then we're going to compete with Cheers.
We'd be competing against Creature Feature and the third repeat of Dirty Jobs that night. So that's probably not happening.
No. Well, we can always hope.
Yeah,
we did run neck and neck with Mike.
You guys really need to just check out Netflix.
Yeah, well, back we did. Yeah, before the metrics on iTunes went all sideways and all the ratings went all into the toilet. It was interesting to see the ratings on iTunes. It was you'd look and you'd go, wow, we're above them. Holy, I like them. This is Made Man Bob, and joining me today, our Made Man Brent.
Oh, Bob, pleasure to be here. I like how you put the saddles in all the chairs for us today, kind of make us feel at home.
Well, I put the GIMP mask on yours, so good old boy Alan.
Nice to be here. Thank you all.
And good old boy Justin.
Good morning, Bob.
What was that? That sounds like a cross between a guy from Connecticut and a cowboy. Okay. And good old boy Harmeet.
Well, thank you for having me today, Bob. I'm not supposed to wear the saddle. Is that what's going on?
You should be wearing it.
Yeah, you should be wearing it. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Now I know where the GIMP mask goes.
I apologize for offending everyone.
You didn't offend any of us,
but you're for 30 minutes of entertainment.
But your mother is sitting in her house right now, just shaking her head, going, "Thank God I had 2 sons." Yeah, she's going, "Oh well,
My mom didn't spare the rod. Let me tell you, we used to get hit with the rolling pin. I'm going to be hit again.
I think she should have hit you a little bit more. But post-traumatic stress disorder for this guy.
Next week on Therapy Corner.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, speaking of that NPR voice you did, that was back when we had the really good ratings before they all wonky. When we beat Terry Gross on
Fresh Air.
On Fresh Air. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Someone still needs therapy. I should get Dr. Fraser Crane on here. Harmeet, I'm listening. Okay. Our show is sponsored in part by Fine Spirits in Cooper City, Florida, home of the enigmatic machines that still aren't up and working.
They're working now.
They're working now, finally. Oh my God!
I didn't get my lotto ticket.
We're going to go to the store and buy the lottery ticket now.
We had to move everything.
Yeah, blah. No one's ever moved. Serving great wines, whiskeys, and other spirits by the glass. You can find them where?
www.finespirits.net or www.facebook.com/finespirits.
/35BR549 /
I got on this stuff. I got on this stuff early.
Left eye winking.
You can follow us on Instagram. Just Fine Spirits. We're there, man.
All right. Our show is also sponsored in part by the Fort Lauderdale Whiskey Society. To find out more about the society and their events, you can visit them at FTLWS.com. And our sip segments are all about wine, distilled spirits, tea, coffee, and pretty much anything else you can drink. And today's show, we're going to be discussing some whiskeys from Old Carter, Jeptha Creed, and Stolen. So here's a list of the whiskeys that we're going to be tasting today. We have the Old Carter Rye, batch number 1. Been holding on to that one for a while.
Yes.
And from Mark and Sherry Carter, who were kind enough to send us the samples, we have the Old Carter Rye batch number 3, the Old Carter Rye batch number 4, the Old Carter Bourbon batch number 2, which I think isn't out yet. I think it just got released. It's close to getting out, the number 2. We have from Jeptha Creed their inaugural release of their 4-grain straight bourbon whiskey. And from Stolen, we have the Stolen X Rock and Rye. So we're going to have Harmeet tell us about our SIPS ratings.
Well, our SIPS ratings are how we rate whiskey. Is that what you wanted to hear? Tell us about them, or actually tell you the ratings? Come on, Bob.
You could enunciate a little bit more.
All right, fine.
Possibly.
Let me enunciate this for you, Bob. 1 sip. Give me a glass of water to wash out my mouth.
Water. Bring water. Bring water.
Fine. 2 sips. Nice. But what else do you have?
Well, isn't that nice?
3 sips. Interesting. What was this again?
Interesting.
4 sips. Let's keep this one a secret to ourselves. Pour me another.
That's classified.
5 sips. Oh my. I was unaware anything could be this good.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. Yes. Words you've never heard before.
Yeah, that joke is an old one, but it just
It just
seems to
it
apply
still
every
fits
time.
Every
Yeah,
time
just
fits every time.
It's all about no at my house, man. It's
time.
all about no.
It's all about the gimp mask, but we won't go there. All right. It's a family show,
The
okay?
second time you've mentioned the gimp mask in the opening of the show.
Well, you're here, so
Family show.
if you take it off, I wouldn't keep thinking about
We're
it.
part of the family that drinks bourbon together.
How do you drink through that zipper? Never mind. Okay, so straight into the toilet in the first 10 minutes. All right, so we're going to have Brent tell us a little bit about the Old Carter Whiskey Company.
Thanks, Bob. The origins of the Old Carter Whiskey Company start with the rebirth of another brand familiar to whiskey lovers, Kentucky Owl. Kentucky Owl Sour Mash Bourbon was a brand originally established in 1879 by Charles Mortimer Dedman. This brand, like many others, was a casualty of that grand social experiment, Prohibition.
Dun, dun,
It was, yeah. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. In 2014, the brand was revived by Mortimer's great-great-grandson, Dixon Dedman, and winemakers Mark and Sherry Carter of the renowned Carter Cellars. Their efforts met with immediate success, with the early releases becoming highly collectible in the bourbon community. So successful, in fact, that in 2017, the brand was purchased by the Stoli Group. Mr. Dedman chose to stay on with the brand, but the Carters chose a different path and created the Old Carter Whiskey Company, focused on creating totally unique, very small batch, straight rye and bourbon whiskeys. Using the formula that proved successful in their prior partnership, Mark and Sherry source aged whiskeys from different sources and blend them to create each new release, which is unfiltered and bottled at barrel strength. I like that it's unfiltered.
Yes.
I mean, unfiltered is like the new latest craze, like unfiltered is what they want.
Well, that's what you get when
That's
you
what I want.
drink whiskey right in the
Grammatically
distillery from the
incorrect,
barrels.
and I'm sad for everyone who says unfiltered. It's non-filtered.
Non-filtered.
You didn't filter it, then put the stuff back in it. It's not unfiltered.
Unfiltered.
7-Up is not the non-cola, it's the un-cola. Are you going to argue with Jeffrey Holder? No, I don't think. Crisp and clean.
Actually, the guys in Scotland
Never
that finally
had it,
caught the
never
cut on.
will.
They don't say unchill filter anymore. They say non-chill filtered, right, Alan?
Correct.
There you go. So,
And the reason for unfiltered or non-chill filtration is it leaves all the fusel oils in there.
Exactly.
The fusel oils is what contains the intensity of the flavor. So if you
But it
chill,
doesn't look good if you put it on ice.
I don't care.
Well,
by that
you gotta-
time-
If
you put it
by
on
that time
ice,
I
we
can't
hit you with a
see, so who
stick.
cares?
right. You put it on ice, you put it underneath a light, and you look at all those little
You're going
balls
to take a perfectly
and
good
stuff in
whiskey
there.
like that and put it on ice? Is that what you're going to
I'm
do?
just telling you the reason. I'm just.
Done enough. Have you no sense of decency, sir? At long last, have you left no sense of decency?
Wait, this is where
Ice tramp.
Yeah. So their efforts seem to be paying off as their new release from Old Carter Whiskey Company is quickly snapped up by collectors and drinkers, I hope, as well. You know,
I
so.
hope people are just not flipping.
Right.
these
I hope
bottles.
it's just because you're going to find out. I think you're going to be pleasantly in what we have to say about this. So let's hear what all the hubbub is about and try our first whiskey. It's Old
Says
Carter.
hubbub anymore.
I did.
I
Why?
do too.
Why do you really?
Yep.
I just did it.
What's all the hubbub, bub?
I just hubbub it.
I feel like I'm getting older just sitting here. Well, actually, we all are.
Well, we
So-
should ask our guest first what he wants to do. You know.
So,
Good afternoon, Mr. Wick.
so
Long time. I'd like a tasting.
Mr. Wick would like a tasting, so
Yeah.
proceed.
So this first one is the Old Carter Rye Batch 1. It's 112.2 proof, 56.1 ABV for you math people out there. It's non-age stated, 1,269 bottles, a 95.5 rye MGP. This is the very first release from Old Carter Whiskey Company, released in March of 2018.
You want to unpack that 95.5 rye for some of the newbies out there?
It's available. You can buy it.
90, it means 95% corn, 5% rye.
No, it means
95% rye, 5% barley. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's why I said half.
You want to do it
unpack
right,
that. Yeah.
smart guy?
You want to do it right?
Okay.
I've been drinking, Bob.
Please,
Don't
Norm.
come at me now, man.
But wait. Let's let Harm do it, okay?
No.
Let's let him do it.
Sarcasm? No, sir. Oh, good. Because your opinion matters. And since you seem unclear on the concept, that was sarcasm.
Exactly.
Fine.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah. The one thing about the color of all these is they've got this nice, what I'd like to call this nice 70s, 60s copper penny color to it. You know, it's
I
not
went with burnished copper. But that's
burnished copper. Yeah. And they all kind of look the same. So it's got that on
You
the
can't spell burnished.
burnished. I couldn't write it.
Q in burnished.
I couldn't write it, so I had to put the, but they all have got that nice color to them, which, you know, so
it's appealing. It's appealing to the eye.
Yeah, if you look at them, it is appealing, you know. And somebody said, "Well, they put a copper coloring in it." No, that doesn't happen with American rye.
Not with a straight whiskey.
No.
There's no E150 in anything that's labeled straight. That's
No,
for sure.
no. These got it from the barrel, the old-fashioned way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sitting in the barrel, sitting in the warehouse, and we'll be back to talk about this
In a second. Hey, and we're back, and we're talking about whiskeys from Old Carter Whiskey
We were
Company.
discussing how to spell the word burnished.
You don't know anything. You've burnished enough when you were about 13 in your mom's basement, okay? Explains why you wear those thick glasses. Okay, so we're going to go back to Brent, and he's going to finish telling us about his impressions on the Old Carter Rye Batch number 1.
Thanks. When we get to the nose on this, I get pepper, I get cherries, a lot of cherries. I get vanilla. I get you get that spice on it, right on the nose. A beautiful spice that you get from a 95.5 rye, and when you go to taste it, you get this beautiful, peppery, tingly, and a bit oily mouthfeel. And cherries pop right on the first thing, and then you get some bacon spice, some leather, pepper. I get a little bit of white pepper as well, both of them. Vanilla cream. It's just gorgeous and a nice, beautifully long finish. It's hard to find much wrong with this, I enjoy it a lot.
I only have
the
one
mouthfeel
bottle.
is
That's
great.
what's wrong with it. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's the only
lot
that's,
more.
Yeah, it is a bit on the pricey side, but that's
such is life.
Yeah, such is life.
Everything has its price. What did you think, Justin?
I thought that this was a lot more intense right out of the bottle when we first poured it than like 20 minutes later. When I first started smelling it, all I got was pepper. And it got more complex and creamy on the nose as time went on. And when I first hit it, it had like a very intense flavor on the sides of my tongue, otherwise known by the fancy people as side palate. And it had a hot, long finish to it.
Like side boob?
It's kind of like side boob, exactly. And it had a hot, long finish, but with air, it really mellowed out a lot. What did you think, Al?
Well, I'm one of these creeps that has to add water to it. I can't get all the flavor
curses.
out of a cast strength whiskey without adding some water to it.
I'm adding more whiskey to my glass first.
Well, I did, but then I added some more water as well. I just find that at a lower proof, I don't get the mouth burn, and I can identify more flavors. But I think it's terrific whiskey. I think it's aged just to perfection. You're tasting a little wood on the end of it.
I think if this would went another year or two, it'd be able to be much. Yeah.
Which tells you, you don't want to age this much longer. But I think it's well put together and a phenomenal, blend of various casks of rye.
Did they tell you how many casks? I mean, with 1,200 bottles, I guess we can guess.
Well, it says right here, 1,269 bottles total.
So, I mean,
This
how
is
many
bottle
casks?
1123.
Yeah. You know, when you
4
add
to 5 casks.
Yeah.
when I added water to this, you know what popped on it? Cinnamon.
Yeah.
Cinnamon really popped on it after I added a little touch of water. That,
You know, I've tasted it again after you said the word cherry. I don't get the cherry. It's not coming out for me.
I agree with Brent. I just did the water thing
Yeah.
too. Got the cinnamon pop.
Yeah, it's the spices that are most apparent in this.
Yeah, and it's good practice. You know, with any whiskey, when you're tasting it, trying to analyze is to add some water, because you're going to get, you know, certain things are going to be water soluble, certain things are alcohol soluble. So flavors are going to come out if you add a drop or two that you wouldn't have got before. So it's you know, it's a good practice to do when you're trying to.
Yeah, it's not like you're diluting it to
Yeah,
you know
we're
to
adding- we're just adding a little bit of
80%. You're just adding a couple drops of water to it. Yes.
But I'm enjoying it too. Damn. So, Alan, what did you agree with Brent about the long finish? What did you say? You said bacon spices. I think you meant baking spices.
He did say
Sure.
baking. Clean out
Sounds
your
like
ears.
bacon to me, man. Maybe I'm just hungry.
Yeah, maybe you're just goofy. Could be it.
Could be just goofy.
Yeah, I found the finish long, dry, spicy. You know, it just keeps coming. That's how the whiskey is from start to finish. And it's an excellent whiskey. I think it's very, very, very nice.
Yeah, I get the cherry.
You get cherry, really?
I get the cherry on the nose, and
I
I get
expected a little more sweet.
I almost get like a creamy lemon, sort of wrapped around the cherry. Just a little bit of a citrusy note in the tip of the nose.
I'm getting more. To me, the citrus and the floral notes are more apparent. I'm not getting so much of the cherry. But what I did notice, and none of you guys said, was the tobacco. Like a lot of good tobacco on the finish.
Yeah.
Well, I think I get tobacco and leather. I kind of they're a little bit, you know,
They're similar.
They're very similar to me, you know. So
like an old, real well-worn leather bag.
Right, exactly.
But
Yeah.
just
it's-
really well put together whiskey.
Yeah, this
Yummy,
was
MGP does a fantastic job,
Yeah.
and then they blended this. You know, they blended this right.
I wonder. I'm sure this is all secret in-house stuff. Like what different barrels, ages they use, and where they came from. This. I wonder how
Well,
much
they
blending
came from Indiana. I know that much. Other than what
in
what,
the Rick House.
Yeah, I have no
Smart ass.
idea. I mean, I've been to MGP and I saw a couple of the Rick houses, but who knows? You know, we didn't even see all of them. So, but we are going to. Yeah, this was really great. So we're gonna rate the Old Carter Rye batch number 1, 4 sips.
Here.
That's classified.
All right, so we're going to go on to our next whiskey, and we're going to have Alan tell us about that one.
So the next one is batch number 3 from Old Carter. It's a rye whiskey, 58.1 ABV, 116.2 proof. Again, no age statement, which is fine for me because it doesn't have anything to do with the taste. They produced 1,009 bottles, 95% rye, 5% barley, and again, produced by MGP. So, and that's one of America's largest producers of bourbons and ryes from Indiana. This one has I call it a deep amber color with gold highlights on it, sparkling gold highlights. And the nose has bakery aromas. You also smell the rye and the spice to it. There's a bit of vanilla cream as well, and some sweet red fruit bringing up towards the end. It also has a good bit of leather on it as well. Let's take a sip.
I think that's prudent.
This is the one I get the cherries on more than the first one. I
Yeah.
didn't get as much on that first
Yeah,
one.
the red fruit, and that
Yeah,
can be
that's
cherry.
the cherry.
Absolutely. And
So yummy.
And it adds some sweetness to it on the end as well. Yeah, this is a lovely, lovely whiskey. It's got a great mouthfeel. You know, it coats the palate. There's cinnamon, there's baking soda, there's brown sugar, there's a tad of licorice on it as well. And the finish is not as dry as batch number 1. It's a little bit sweeter finish and nice and long lasting as well.
What'd you think, Brent?
Yeah, I think that, it is sweeter. You get that it's it's a sugar, it's it's some sort of sweet, the brown sugar that caramelized sugar sweetness to it that you get. This one here, I had a lot more cinnamon to it than I did on the first batch.
Oh yes, you're exactly right.
There was a lot more cinnamon, that especially right on the palate. Where the first one, the cherries kind of got me first. This one here, the cinnamon really got me first. But everything else, the beautiful nose to it.
Yeah, very enticing. That.
Oh
nose.
yeah, that's it's got some of those floral notes on the nose, and it's really nice. It's and I get the cherries on the nose as well. But
I don't get that licorice Alan was talking about. Do you get licorice?
it's a little bit on the back end of the licorice, more on your finish than you get it on their palate.
Sort of like a little more cherry licorice.
It's but it's there.
Yeah, the nose it's like a cream filled eclair. I mean, it's just like huge vanilla, like buttercream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm torn about which one I like better. At first, I thought I liked the first one, batch one, head and shoulders over number 3. But as this one's gotten air, I think this is that bakery note that Alan mentioned. That really came out. That's.
Well, the first one I got a little bit more of the wood tannin. On this one, I get a little bit more of the char. So I'm getting the wood notes on both of them, but one is I'm tasting more of the char than I'm tasting
the char on the finish, but not up front.
Yeah, on the finish. Yeah, I mean when it rolls down your throat, yeah, I'm definitely getting a lot more of the char. But here's the thing: they came from the same place, but entirely, different whiskeys. That's the remarkable thing.
That's why they put batch numbers on them, Bob.
Exactly. So.
But each cast,
put a little
differently.
If you put some water in yours, you can really get that. You can get that licorice when you put a little bit of water in there.
I didn't try this one with much water. Let me try again. Is there another bottle of it? Where's the batch 2?
No. Don't use my bottle then.
Did you guys kill all the batch 2? Or batch 3?
Batch 3.
Batch 3, sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, our second whiskey is batch 3. What happened to batch 2, Bob? Very suspicious.
You're lucky you had batch 1. I paid for batch 1.
Son of a batch.
Here's an idea, man with liquor store. How about you go get batch 2?
They don't sell it in Florida.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
then.
so why don't you have it, Bob?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd Bob get it? I think they sent Bob all 4 batches, but one just suspiciously disappeared.
Says the man who shows up to the radio show hungover, okay?
I'm not hungover.
For I am a sinner in the hands of an angry God. Bloody Mary, full of vodka, blessed are you among cocktails. Pray for me now at the hour of my death, which I hope is soon. Amen.
Yeah.
Is that from Archer?
No, that was you this morning when you woke up.
I don't remember that episode.
That's why you sound so gravelly in your throat.
I gotta catch up on some episodes. Oh, pretty. Justin, did you have anything to say about this whiskey? You're just gonna sit there and drink. You're just looking at us and sipping away.
It is excellent. I have to say that this is a very well balanced rye, and the one comment that I would say about it, if I was only allowed one comment, is German bakery store. It's like walking into one and all the like apple pie and the warm crust and all that stuff just hits you. And it's like they just cooked a bunch of Cinnabons just in the back of the bakery. You can't smell them prominently,
I think of
but in
German
the back.
bakery, I think more of cherries and chocolates as well. That Black Forest cake thing.
Oh my goodness!
I got the cherries, but I didn't get the chocolate. Anybody get chocolate on these whiskeys?
No, I didn't
There's
get any chocolate.
Baking chocolate.
Did not get it.
No, that's not there, man.
The dry-
Alan's just stretching now.
That dry baking chocolate.
It's that dustiness.
Yeah,
dustiness.
like a cocoa.
Yeah.
All right, I'll give you dustiness.
Yeah, it's more like a cocoa. So,
Yeah. It was very nice.
well, we are going to rate the Old Carter Rye batch number 3. Hold on, let me get there. We're going to rate that one 4 sips.
That's classified.
So we're going to have Justin tell us about our next whiskey from Old Carter.
So we have Old Carter Rye Batch 4. It's 114.1 proof, which is 57.8 alcohol by volume. And they made 942 bottles of these. And it's the 95% rye, 5% malted barley, and it's from MGP like the other batches. And this is the smallest batch released to date by Old Carter Whiskey Company. So if you like it, it's going to be even harder to find.
Yeah, if you look at it from the batch 1 to this batch, looks like they've used like one less barrel for each batch or something is what it looks like.
I wonder if they're able to get the barrels they want, because everybody's trying to buy from MGP, and MGP is making their own brands now. Finally,
Yeah, we've reviewed several of them on the show. So.
I've missed a couple of those shows. Thanks for reminding me, Bob.
Well,
it's not that it hurts anything.
You weren't invited.
Just twist the knife a little bit more, Bob.
You
Twist
weren't
it.
invited.
Go on, Justin.
Well, if you add the wrong barrels to the mix, you're not going to get the blend you want.
Exactly.
So you want
I'm
the
glad they're doing
ideal
quality,
amount.
right?
Yeah.
They're doing quality.
Yeah, the emphasis to put out the good product, not create a ton of this stuff.
So,
and
what do you think about the nose there? The color's the same, right?
Yeah, the color's the same as the other ones. I got brown sugar and raisins on the nose. On the palate, I got baking spices and rye spice, shortbread, and it had a sweeter finish than the other batches, and it was pretty phenomenal. What did you think, Harm?
Excuse me, I'm about to sneeze. You do that.
I got
Bless you.
Bless you.
All right, Alan, what did you think?
For me, it was a little bit like over cinnamony is what the word I want to use. Over cinnamony. This one was excess of it. But everything else was delicious on it. I love the floral notes on the nose. Those really popped on it, especially if you add a little bit of that water, like Alan's been preaching to us today. Just a drop or two of water, and the floral notes really, really come out. I get that rye, I get that leather. The mouthfeel is excellent. It's just a pleasure. But I think this one had the most cinnamon of all of them, and so I thought it was kind of like, and maybe they didn't get that balance, and maybe that's why they stopped. Maybe it was they didn't want to get too much to a point.
I found this a little more disappointing compared to the first two.
Well,
disappointing compared to the first.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's still phenomenal whiskey, but it wasn't as good.
Somebody hands you this, you're going to go, "Oh, thank
pour
you."
This out. I would not. I would. If you gave me some of this whiskey, I would thank you profusely.
Not now. They're not going to. Not with that comment.
But the first two we tasted were better to me because I think it's over cinnamon, just like Brent said.
Well, the first two were better in my opinion as well. I don't disagree with that, but and the only reason why was I thought this one had too much cinnamon versus the others. The other ones were more balanced. They were more balanced, for overall for the different spices and stuff. This one came out to me, as a cinnamon bomb.
Did anybody get honey notes on this? Because when we first poured it, it was all about the honey, but it's gone away. That honey is very muted now, and that cinnamon is really showing up, like Brent is saying.
The oxidization took it out.
And I'm thinking that one of the things we're tasting in the cinnamon but not realizing is I think we got the wood is a little overly tannic. And so the tan there's
the tannin gives you that bit of a burn to it.
Not that it's over the hill,
no,
okay, but it's got a lot of that, and I think that's affecting.
It's more drying on the finish, right?
Yeah,
and that can be sort of tricking you into the cinnamony kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think because the first two were so much better that I think that's kind of affects a little bit as well. When you taste something, and this is like,
I got to say, out of the three, the nose on this, I think is by far the best.
The floral nose on this one is beautiful.
It's like walking into a flower shop.
No.
Yeah.
It's
more floral.
It's so
right.
sweet.
The floral nose
and just
number
like
two, that buttercream.
Flowers.
I mean, batch number 3. I like the nose on batch 3 better than this.
You get floral. It's
more floral. It's definitely more floral.
Right. You get a floral nose, but there's none of that floral flavor to it.
If you add water, you pick the floral flavor up on the side palate.
A little bit on the side there.
Not on the tip, not on the back, on the side.
Yeah.
Can you hand me the water, please?
No.
I said please.
Yeah, well, that's a first.
I actually meant it too. I wasn't like, being facetious. I meant please.
You can't spell facetious.
I have Siri for that. Siri, spell facetious.
Siri ain't going to return your call.
Right now, there's millions of phones spelling facetious.
No, you have to say, "Hey Siri, spell facetious." Now let's see.
You're welcome. We're talking to the hungover guys. Oh yeah, that's good. Okay,
And
you weren't even born with the sense God gave the common dog.
Yeah, exactly.
Alexa, spell facetious.
And Bob, you're absolutely right. The water really brought that. It just smells better with the floral nose. It's gorgeous.
Once you put a little water in, it dials down that extra tannin.
I put water in the first time, just not enough, I think. Yeah, this is beautiful.
The flowers come out. So, again, this is
Don't buy me a bouquet of flowers. Buy me Old Carter number 4, sir.
Well, we're going to be giving the Old Carter Rye batch number 4 3 sips.
Interesting.
All right, so that brings us up to our next expression, which is the Old Carter Bourbon batch number 2. It's 106.9 proof. That's 58.45% ABV. 942 bottles of this produced as well. This bourbon is a blend of 9 barrels of 10 and 12-year-old bourbon with a mash bill of 84% corn, 8% rye, and 8% malted barley. So it's got a really nice color to it. A burnished bronze, perhaps? Yeah. No. I'm going to do Justin. It's brown.
But how brown?
Brown. Tastes like
How now, brown cow?
Yeah, exactly. So it's got a very nice nose to it. I'm getting is that pears or
This is another one air just improved from the first time I smelled it.
Well, we'll come back and we'll talk about it. Hey, and we're back, and we are discussing some lovely whiskeys from the Old Carter Whiskey Company. So we are doing the Old Carter Bourbon batch number 2. Again, on the nose.
It's another one of the 942 bottles, man.
Yeah.
They're stingy with that.
On the note, well, I got that from our friends over at Bourbon Review from their press release, because I didn't get the press release on this one. So that's how come this one actually tells me how many barrels it is. So thanks to our friends over at Bourbon Review. I'm thinking, is that pears?
It is pears.
I think that's pears.
Yep.
And you're definitely getting like a toffee.
It's those it's not poached pears. It's like bruleed almost. It's like
it's like pears with burnt sugar.
Yeah, exactly.
Burnt dark brown sugar.
Pears of what?
Like anjou pears that have been hit with
don't even go there.
Like a pear jam.
Yeah.
Like a pear jam. It's been prepared,
It is jammy.
And there's a pastry note to it as well. Like a flaky pastry.
You're calling it pastry now. To me, it's walnuts. I'm smelling walnuts.
There's definitely a nut in there.
There's several nuts on the table.
One nut at the table, too.
Harm. Get off the table.
I've got at least two.
Get off the table. Put your pants back on.
Back on the saddle.
I mean, we're glad you're finally washing up, but please not here while we're watching. On the palate, hold on. On the palate, I definitely get that cocoa. That there's a slight bit of, it's a little bit more chocolatey. It's still cocoa, but there's a little bit of a chocolate element to it. It's not as drying as the last one. I definitely get the walnuts in there. Baking spice. It's got that old leather that I do love so much, like just an old soft leather pouch or
holster.
Yeah. And it's got,
I go baseball mitt, they go holsters.
The strap.
There you go.
Fine Corinthian leather.
Rich Corinthian leather. I have that sound effect. Let me go look for it. And it's got a pretty nice mouthfeel to it. It's pretty well coating. I like this one a lot. What did you guys think?
Oh, I love this one. This was the only thing is that, because we went from a rye to a bourbon, this just feels, I just mellowed out. Just because it's a bourbon, you just don't get to appreciate it as much as I think if we'd started
first.
Yeah, if we'd started with this one first and then we went to the ryes, I think we're kind of underappreciating this one for what it is, because it is very nice.
Brent, you love you guys, but you guys appreciate bourbon too much. I'd rather drink scotch and rye, and thank God we started with rye. The bourbon's too sweet for me, and this is a sweet bourbon.
Well, this has got all those toffee notes.
Maybe some mild post-traumatic stress disorder,
but he drinks a lot, so
yeah, I think I've got a pretty good handle on it.
That
it's got all the bourbon notes. It's got the toffee notes, the vanilla, the caramel, and it's lovely. It's got a great mouthfeel, nice finish to it. everything is nice with it, like you said, that warm, like that walnuts or the pie.
You, Brent. What are you doing?
Well, that's what I said. It's just like we almost should have started off with this one instead of going with the rye and then going down. I think we made a backward progression in the way we tasted things almost. But I enjoyed it. It was nice for what it was.
Who typed up the orders sitting right there.
Well, that's okay.
He's got the sound effects, but he has not put you down once yet.
That's okay.
I think he's got his eye on you, Harm.
I mean, I'm just saying what it is about it. I
am the Fred Norris of liquor radio.
Yeah, I know that, So
I must say, the first time I tried it, after tasting the bourbons,
I mean the rye.
Excuse me, after tasting the rye, it tasted a little bit light to me. But having tasted it again, it's really nice.
It holds its own.
It does hold it. It does hold its own. Very much so.
Nice.
And I think we gave it injustice by doing the rye first. Is all I'm saying.
It's very probable.
Justin, do you get the walnut notes? Because to me, I keep coming back to it. It's all about walnuts.
Yes,
I love it. And I
get the walnuts on the finish. The only problem with this whiskey is there's 942 bottles. I don't have one. Exactly. That's a problem.
There's a problem.
Well, that's just like your opinion, man.
No, that's objective fact, Bob. That's not an opinion. 942 bottles.
And I get some.
Come on, Carter family. We love you. Please make more.
A very drinkable bourbon.
Oh, extremely drinkable for sure. Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful bourbon.
Yeah.
All right. So we have reviewed the.
Wait, do you want to up the rating? Because I feel like I should have given it a higher rating now after tasting it.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have given the Old Carter Bourbon Batch Number 2 4 sips.
That's classified.
Incidentally, if there's any of those 942 bottles left,
if you can find
you
one.
still have the address. I'm just saying, Sherry.
You're more than welcome to send one to
Thank
South
your
Florida.
Guardian Angel.
Send one to South Florida.
All right. Well, that's it for the samples we have from Old Carter Whiskey Company. Sorry. Sorry.
Yeah.
But we have some more, so we're going to have Harmeet tell us a little bit about the Jeptha Creed distillery, who's a new kid on the block.
Thank you, Bob. This is good old boy Harmeet, and we're drinking the Jeptha Creed. It's a new distillery founded by mother and daughter duo, Joyce and Autumn. I can't keep doing this. Nethery. Very southern-sounding name, Nethery. Joyce's husband,
even
Bruce.
Born with the sense God gave the common dog.
I'm going to get my own set of sound effects for you, Bob. Well,
you can put yourself down better?
Yes.
Okay, we'll see.
I'll insult myself more.
We'll see.
So the Joyce's husband, Bruce, Bruce's family's been farming in Kentucky for 5 generations. Jeptha Creed sits on 64 acres.
Well, in Alabama, that could be what? A spread of about a whole 30 years, right? 5 generations? Yeah, probably. I mean, Kentucky's different. I'm just saying Alabama.
Oh my God!
Oh wait, Alabama. Hold on. I got
breed like fruit flies.
I got an Archer clip for that. Hold on.
Yeah.
What is it? The Alabama of Europe?
There you go. Okay.
All right, I hate you all. But when I met my wife, she did have a 16-year-old. They breed fast there. So let's see, where were we? 64 acres, 5 generations. Oh, there we go. Locally sourced 100% of the ingredients used in creating Jeptha Creed. They help local agriculture. Even the water used comes from the creek on their farm. When choosing the grains, they go to the new whiskey. They choose heirloom corn. They chose an heirloom corn called Bloody Butcher as the base for the bourbon.
Hold on. They sent us a whole box full.
Whole box of it.
Yes.
Does that make good popcorn?
It's like
it looks like little.
That was going to be my question.
The kernels are tiny.
Yeah, they're little red. They're little red kernels.
The kernels are tiny, about half the size of like a yellow corn kernel you're used to seeing, and they look like little droplets of blood.
That's what she said.
Okay.
So
We're
Joyce,
about to put it in the microwave.
Such
we're
a
gonna
romantic
try
Brent.
pop some later today. But Joyce shared that when she started making the bourbon, growing the grain for the distillery, she noticed that the local wildlife, the deer, would like pass right through fields of yellow corn and eat the Bloody Butcher corn first, and then they go nap in the yellow corn fields over the night and come back. It's hilarious. So they knew they were onto something with this Bloody Butcher corn. The Nethries traveled to Wisconsin in 2014 to distill some test batches of the bourbon. In addition to the Bloody Butcher corn, they wanted to test different levels of rye and wheat and barley for their mash. I love the fact that they're using some science and art to this. This is really nice. But due to a delivery accident, all 3 of these grains arrived at the Wisconsin distillery malted. And it was a lucky mistake. The Nethries tasted the bourbon made from a mash of malted grains. They knew they'd landed on something special. So they began distilling at their own distillery in August in 2016, and they're producing 9 barrels a day.
That's
all right.
just exactly the same amount that Brent drinks a day.
Right.
What do you know about that?
I can almost keep
Happy
up.
coincidence.
Happy coincidence. I can almost keep up.
So the only whiskey today.
He's sitting here making fun of the size of the kernels. Don't make fun of. Why are you making fun of the size of the kernels?
Size inferiority, of course.
These are tiny little kernels. I'm saying there's a lot of flavor packed in these little tiny little droplets of blood that are in my hand here.
You know what Colonel Klink says?
If you press the button. You don't. That's all you had is Hogan? Come on,
I
man.
probably got more.
I grew up on Hogan's Heroes, man. I love that show. So anyway, Jeptha Creed 4-grain straight bourbon's the whiskey we have from them. This is their inaugural release.
This is against all regulations.
Don't mess with me.
Good.
Don't mess with me.
Werner von, what was his last name? No.
Warner. Werner von Warner.
Werner von Kempler.
Kempler. 49% ABV, my friends. Straight bourbon is a 4-grain bourbon with
on your punishment. 30 days in the cooler, and all privileges revoked for an additional 30 days.
I'm just going to chew on the
Okay, I'll leave you alone. Go ahead and finish.
I do. Just play all the Colonel Klink you like. I'm having some nostalgia attack, and I'll drink some more bourbon. Did we have another bottle? Where'd it go?
No, it's none left.
Oh, they only sent us a tiny sample.
Yeah.
Well, I used to like Jeptha Creed.
I met Joyce when we were up for the Bourbon Classic, and just a lovely woman. Really, you when you talk to her, you really can see how much they're really enjoying doing what they do. I mean, they're not doing this because, hey, this is a good way to make money. They're in it. I mean, they're in it up to their neck. They love what they're doing. Really nice lady.
I really appreciate what they're doing too. The mash bill of this is 70% Bloody Butcher corn, 15% malted rye, 10% malted wheat, and 5% malted barley. And it's got a medium golden color, a little bit of copper going on there. The nose is sweet cream candy, dried fruits like apricots and peaches, a little bit of brown sugar. I got a hit of butterscotch on here quite a bit. It's very light and floral, and it's not like that heavy. This is nothing at all like the first ryes and bourbons we tasted today. This is definitely a younger whiskey, but it's so appealing to me. I could smell this all day long. Just let it sit, give it a drop of water, and keep going. That buttercream, that dried apricot, or the peaches. This is usually I don't like younger whiskeys like this, but this is something the nose just really appeals to me. The palate. Let me try it again. Vanilla. Somebody said nutmeg, but I get more cinnamon and clove here. There's some sweet pecan going on. The finish is medium, kind of not short, but not super long. Again, let's try this whiskey in a few more years, but right now what they've got here is great. Did anybody agree with me here? Alan, what do you think?
I kind of liked it more on the finish and on the end of it than I did in the front when I first put it in my mouth. It was a bit light on the front. The cloves are very interesting in here.
Yeah.
It's almost like in Scotch whiskeys when you taste eucalyptus. That's what I'm getting on this one. I'm tasting the clove. So I like it. I like the way it finishes up. I think it needs a couple of years, but I think it's great stuff.
Yeah, it's well made. It's definitely well made.
The nose on this is phenomenal. I mean, I just love the sweetness of the nose that, everything that comes out with it, all those. What's that?
Okay, can you hand me the sample bottle? Can I take a look at that?
The sweetness on the nose is It's beautiful. I like everything that came out about it. All the fruits that came out and everything.
Yeah. I think this one has benefited the most of all the ones we poured from the air.
And they're from Shelbyville, where
Yep.
my wife went to college. For
It's about halfway between. It's right on the interstate, about halfway between Louisville.
I've been to Shelbyville,
Frankfurt,
my
so-
friend. I'm going back now.
Yeah, I mean, the one
like
thing
they're letting you in.
after doing the whole thing.
I am awfully brown, but I did miscegenate. I got a white wife I can bring with me.
Yeah, my first comment
Let's
was
go back to that last one.
The Alabama of Europe?
Yeah, when after I tasted it and nosed it and tasted it, and the first thing I was like, I'd like to see you in 4 years, and that was what I really my first comment about it, because it's beautiful to start off with, but it's what I want to see. What I want to see coming up, in a few years. It's got so much promise to it, and it's not saying it's bad right now. It's very nice, but I'd really like to see it longer. So I'd like to see it in a few years. But I like the finish. Nice. It's it's just it's beautiful.
All right. What do you think, Justin?
I love the flavors of it, but I did get a medicinal note on the nose.
Really?
And I know I'm the outlier here, but
You are a liar. You're a
strange.
lawyer, same thing.
But once I got past the nose, I think it tasted really nice. The finish wasn't long, but it was sweet and pleasant. So I enjoyed it.
It's not quite
overall.
mature enough for you. I know. You want something. You want to discuss something with your girl. You don't want to just It's not all about the.
He's always
the look.
been into older women.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
true.
All right, so we are going to rate the Jeptha Creed 4-grain straight bourbon whiskey. Hold on, I'm not there. Hold on.
You're the one to control your looks.
I know. I'm busy running the show. 3 sips.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we are to the last one, and we're going to get this one done right quick.
Right
so,
before the end of
Alan,
the show here.
what do you think?
I try not to think as much as possible, because when I think, it gets me into a lot of problems. However, let's talk about Stolen X Rock and Rye 80 proof, which is 40% volume. The history of Rock and Rye goes back to the 1800s, when bartenders kept a bowl of rock candy on the bar so the customers could add it to their run-aged rye. To take the edge off. Once Prohibition became the law of the land, this early cocktail eventually moved to the pharmacy counter and was sold as a pre-bottled cure-all remedy.
All right.
What do you think?
Does it cure your ailments?
I'm not sick, but I love the nose.
Well, I know your wife. She'll say something different.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think?
I think it's great. I think, this is a premix. I love it.
All right. Well, we're going to rate that 3 sips.
Interesting.
Well, that's all the time we have today. We hope you enjoyed this episode. You can catch all of our episodes where you found this one, as well as on terrestrial and satellite radio, and online at iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, CBS Radio, radio.com, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, and pretty much any place you can find a podcast. The easiest way to find this show on your phone is just to ask Alexa, Siri, Google, or whoever it is that talks back to you on your phone, play podcast Sip, Suds, and Smokes. We love your feedback, and you can reach us online at info@sipsudsandsmokes.com. Our daily tasting notes flow out on Twitter every day at SipSudSmoke, and our Facebook page is always buzzing with lots of news. You'll also be able to interact with the thousands of other fans on these media platforms. So check us out on Instagram at Sip, Suds, and Smokes, or at Made Man Bob.
Sweet.
Do
Anybody
us a
have any
favor.
ice? I need some ice for this cocktail. This is actually quite
Go to
good
the
on the
refrigerator.
rocks.
Do us a favor and take time to rate this episode if you're listening to us online. It's a big help. And we get to hear your feedback as well. So I want to
We
thank
need to
our
beat
host
NPR
for
again.
being with us. Thank you, Brent.
Thank you for having me. Can I let go of this saddle horn yet?
No.
Okay.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Mr. Happy.
I've been very happy, dude. Why you say it sarcastically, but I'm a happy man. Happily
Yeah.
married, got a great kid.
Yeah. For
I've
the
got
first time
whiskey
your
in front
life.
of me.
Okay.
Just bring me some ice.
And thank you, Alan.
My pleasure.
All right. So this is Made Man Bob for Sip, Suds, and Smokes, and we thank you for joining us. Remember, life is too short to drink bad whiskey.
Very true.
That's right.
Yes, rock and rye is nice.
I'm
Yeah.
not joking about the ice. This needs to be on the rocks.
I'm telling you, this is a
Condiment-
highball. This would be great.
It's a drink in a glass.
This has been a One Tan Hand production of Sips, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see you all next time.